Most RLS treatment plans are incomplete, not because the medication doesn't work, because there's a missing piece, one your doctor isn't testing for. This video is about that missing piece. Here's what I want to cover. 1, what iron actually does inside your brain and why it matters for RLS. 2, why your blood test can look completely normal while your brain is iron starved. 3, the connection between RLS and ADHD that most doctors miss entirely. And 4, the exact question to ask at your next appointment. This isn't about taking supplements. This is about understanding the mechanism behind your symptoms so you can push for the right tests. Most people know RLS is connected to dopamine. But here's what most people don't know. Dopamine doesn't just appear in your brain. Your brain has to build it. And to build it, it needs a specific enzyme, tyrosine hydroxylase. That enzyme is the first step in dopamine production, the thing that controls how much dopamine your brain can actually make. Iron is what makes that enzyme run. No iron or not enough iron, and the enzyme slows down. Dopamine production drops, and in the context of RLS, dopamine isn't about mood, it's about motor regulation, the urge to move, restlessness, control. So, when your iron is low at the brain level, even slightly low, your dopamine signaling is impaired, and that shows up as the exact symptoms you're already experiencing. Now, that's not a theory, that's the mechanism. And here's the problem. Your doctor runs a blood test. Your ferritin comes back normal, and your doctor says, well, you're fine. You're not necessarily fine. Your brain sits behind something called the blood-brain barrier. It controls what gets in. You can have normal hemoglobin, normal serum iron, a ferritin level that doesn't raise any flags, and still have a brain that is iron starved. So how does this happen? RLS research has shown this repeatedly. The iron level in the fluid around your brain can be low, even when your blood panel looks acceptable. Most RLS specialists now target a ferritin above 75, ideally above 100, not what they would call normally in range, but above 75. The standard reference range on most lab tests goes as low as 12, and that's no good for RLS sufferers. Your doctor may look at a ferritin of 35 and call it normal. For RLS, that is not normal. Now, here's where it gets important. This exact mechanism, dopamine signaling impaired by low brain iron, is also what drives a lot of ADHD symptoms. Attention, focus, cognitive energy, impulse control. All of these are dopamine dependent, all affected by the same iron deficiency, which is why ADHD and RLS overlap far more than most doctors realize. Studies show people with ADHD have significantly higher rates of RLS. People with RLS have significantly higher rates of undiagnosed attention problems. Now, this is not a coincidence. It's the same underlying dopamine vulnerability expressed in two different ways. And here's the clinical pattern to recognize. Cognitive fog that gets worse as the day goes on. Restless legs that start in the evening. Sleep that never fully restores. Or waking up tired but unable to rest during the day. If that's your experience, that cluster together, there is a single mechanism that explains all of it. Not two separate conditions happening at the same time. There's one mechanism, dopamine signaling compromised by insufficient iron at the brain level. Now, this matters because if you only treat the legs, you may be missing half the picture. Now, one more piece that explains the timing. Dopamine isn't flat across 24 hours. It follows a circadian rhythm, higher during the day, lower at night. That's completely normal. But if your dopamine system is already running on limited resources because your brain iron is insufficient, that nighttime drop doesn't just feel like tiredness. It exposes the weakness in your system. Your legs feel it first. The motor regulation and restlessness control that dopamine provides drops at exactly the moment you're trying to be still. That's why RLS is worst when you're at rest. Worst in the evening, worst when you finally lie down. The system that was barely compensating all day has nothing left for the night. Now, I cover the full science behind this in a separate video. I'll link it at the end. But the key point is this: the timing is not random. It is a predictable consequence of how dopamine behaves in an iron deficient brain. So what do you do? Well, here's the practical piece. At your next appointment, ask for a ferritin test. If you've had one recently, ask for the actual number, not just whether it's normal. Ask your doctor whether it's above 75. If it isn't, then that is a conversation worth having. Iron supplementation done carefully and monitored properly has solid research behind it for RLS. But it starts with knowing your number. If you also have focus issues, afternoon cognitive fog, or difficulty concentrating, mention those too. Not because you need a separate diagnosis, but because the two conditions share a mechanism. Understanding that connection helps your doctor treat you more completely. So don't say my brain feels off and my legs are restless. Say this: I'd like to check my ferritin level because I understand that low brain iron affects both dopamine dependent motor control and cognitive function. That will make it clear. I've had these exact conversations with my doctor and my neurologist, and each time they have respected that I've done my research and I know the questions to ask. Follow this channel for RLS truths your doctor probably hasn't told you.